How does a 6'1" guard with a 6'4" wingspan become the guy the Boston Celtics trust with the basketball when everything is on the line? How does a kid projected as a second-round pick end up with a ring, a 6th Man of the Year trophy, and a shot that will live in NBA Finals footage for the next 50 years? Peyton Pritchard is the most clutch player in the league right now, and nothing about his story was supposed to end this way.
Rebound, here's Pritchard, he loves these, puts it up half court of the buzzer, bang!
He's averaging 17.4 points and 5.4 assists a night as a full-time starter for the Celtics. He's got 803 career three-pointers. He's got a championship ring and a piece of finals history that nobody saw coming. But to understand how the smallest guard in the NBA became its most dangerous late-game weapon, you have to go back to a freezing garage in West Linn, Oregon, where a kid was dribbling a weighted basketball on concrete at 5 in the morning with his fingers bleeding through the tape. Peyton was born on January 28, 1998 in Tualatin, Oregon. His dad, Terry, played football at Oklahoma. His mom, Melissa, was a gymnast there. This wasn't a family that suggested sports. This was a family that spoke sports. And Peyton picked it up before most kids could pick a position.
And so sports was just part of our life, and actually my thesis.
By 6th grade, he was showing up to varsity workouts before school. By the time he hit middle school, his parents had taken in his best friend Anthony Matisse and become his legal guardians, turning the house into a 24/7 proving ground where the competition never stopped.
Waking up before school at like 6:30, 6 o'clock and dribbling a weight ball.
The man who shaped him most in those years wasn't a coach. It was Steve Blake, a former NBA point guard who lived in the Portland area. Every week as a teenager, Peyton played him one-on-one.
He would pick me up every day that summer and play me one-on-one.
Every week, he lost. His dad said he'd ride home from those games with tears in his eyes, not from pain, from hatred. Losing made him physically sick. And that's the thing you have to understand about Peyton Pritchard before any of the basketball stuff makes sense. He doesn't play the game to win. He plays it because losing feels unbearable. When his future high school coach joked that Peyton might be the second best shooter in the gym, the 12-year-old looked him dead in the face and said, "No, I'm the best shooter in the gym." 4 years later, he'd proven it 4 times in a row.
Is, really almost anybody we got. I mean, he can just do things that a lot of guys can't do.
At West Linn High School under coach Eric Viocola, Peyton didn't just win state titles. He won 4 of them: 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. 4 years, 4 rings. No Oregon program had ever done that before. By his senior year, he was averaging 23.6 points, 6.7 assists, and 5.5 rebounds on 56% from the field and 43% from 3. In the championship game that year, he dropped 25 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. He was Gatorade Oregon Player of the Year twice. He carried a 3.57 GPA. He was coaching youth clinics on the side and mentoring exchange students from Spain. The scouting services rated him a 4-star recruit, 45th in the country. Every scout noted the same thing: great feel, elite shooter, relentless competitor, not much athletic pop. Not a guy who was going to dunk on anybody. Not a guy with length. He initially committed to Oklahoma, his parents' school, and then decommitted because he wanted to stay home.
Just to kind of re-look at my options again, decided to go to Oregon.
He flipped to Oregon. Most kids chase brand. Peyton chose comfort and daily work. It was the most Peyton Pritchard decision you could possibly make.
So decided to go there, and obviously had a lot of success, a lot of big Pac-12 wins and conference championships.
And at Oregon, under Dana Altman, he didn't redshirt. He didn't ease in. He started as a freshman on a team that reached the 2017 Final Four, the first Oregon Final Four since 1939. He was 18 years old, running the point on one of the biggest stages in college basketball, and he didn't flinch. The growth happened year by year, quietly at first, and then all at once. By his senior season, Peyton Pritchard was the best point guard in America. 20.5 points, 5.5 assists, 41% from 3. He won the Bob Cousy Award. He was a consensus first-team All-American, Oregon's first in 80 years. And when games got tight, there was nobody more dangerous in the entire country. He scored 91 crunch time points that season, the most in the NCAA.
4 seconds, 3 seconds, Pritchard has to hoist.
A game-winning 3 in overtime at Washington, a career-high 38 against Arizona, where he dropped 15 of Oregon's final 17 points because he just refused to let his team lose.
3 seconds to shoot. Good defense by Baker. Pritchard off balance.
By the time he left, He was the first player in Pac-12 history to hit 1,900 points, 500 rebounds, and 600 assists, Oregon's all-time leader in wins and assists. Then COVID hit, and his senior NCAA tournament, the one window a four-year guard had left to prove his stock, vanished overnight. So when the 2020 draft came, Peyton Pritchard was one of the most accomplished guards in college basketball history, and nobody wanted him in the first round. No combine, no green room, no final showcase to change minds, just tape and measurables. And the measurables were the problem. 6'1", 6'4" wingspan, no elite burst. The consensus was the same everywhere. High floor, low ceiling.
There are so many other lead guards available right now that I would take before I took him.
Most mock drafts had him going somewhere between 35 and 55. A second-round pick, maybe undrafted. The Boston Celtics thought differently. Danny Ainge was an Oregon native. He'd been tracking Peyton since high school. The Celtics scouting director said his competitive wiring was exceptional. Executives around the team later admitted Ainge wasn't fixated on how Peyton measured. He was fixated on how he played. The urgency, the edge, the way every possession looked like his career was on the line. Pick 26, first round, Boston.
With the 26th pick in the 2020 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Peyton Pritchard.
Analysts called it a classic Ainge pick. Gritty, tough, a reach. There were other guards still on the board that draft experts preferred. Peyton didn't care. He was in the room he'd been dreaming about since those garage sessions. Now he just had to stay.
And try to win opportunities for playing time and all that. So that's all I'm worried about, is getting down there and competing for time and helping a team win. So
the rookie year worked. Under Brad Stevens, he averaged 7.7 points and shot 41% from three in 66 games. Instant proof that his range played at the NBA level. The real question was never whether he could shoot, it was whether anyone would let him. Then in January 2021 against Miami, he showed the Celtics coaching staff something they weren't expecting. Game on the line. Peyton drove, missed the layup, and finished with a putback to seal a two-point win.
Martin on the drive, tries to draw contact on the follow. It's gone. Pritchard banks it home.
It wasn't a three, it wasn't a heave, it was a dog play. A scrappy refuse-to-lose finish from a rookie who was supposed to be a shooting specialist. That moment told Boston exactly what kind of player they'd drafted. Year two is where things got complicated. Under Ime Udoka, his minutes dropped to 14 a night. The Celtics went to the finals. Peyton had one huge game in the Eastern Conference Finals, an 18-point outburst in Game 1 against Miami that kept them alive.
Pritchard, pull-up jumper.
But when Boston lost to Golden State in 6, Peyton watched Steph Curry celebrate from the opposite side of the floor, and he absorbed every second of it. Then the offseason hit. Boston traded for Malcolm Brogdon.
Boston Celtics acquiring Malcolm Brogdon from the Indiana Pacers.
And just like that, Peyton Pritchard was buried. Marcus Smart, Derek White, Brogdon. 3 guards ahead of him, all with bigger names, bigger bodies, bigger contracts. His minutes collapsed to a career low 13 a game. DNPs started piling up, and the frustration boiled over. He wanted out. Reports confirmed it publicly. The Celtics were shopping him.
The Celtics are reportedly exploring trades, packaging Peyton Pritchard.
For a guy whose entire identity was built on competing, sitting was torture. But here's where the Peyton Pritchard story separates itself from every other young player who gets squeezed out of a rotation. He didn't sulk. He didn't become a locker room problem. He turned the anger inward.
for me, once the trade deadline happened, that was my mindset, was just come in and compete.
Pre-game shooting sessions that lasted longer than most players' actual workouts. Summers spent paying overseas pros to guard him in one-on-one games, so no defensive look could ever catch him off guard. He quit drinking entirely. Every single decision pointed in one direction, being undeniable the moment his name got called again. Then came the final game of the 2023 regular season. Boston rested its starters against Atlanta. Peyton exploded. 30 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. His first career triple-double. The first Celtic to score 30 off the bench in a season finale since 1958. The message was simple: you can bury me, you cannot break me. And Boston heard it. In October 2023, instead of trading him, they signed him to a 4-year, $30 million extension.
Feels really good. I mean, just to be secure, lock it in, and then, be a part of a great organization.
The statement from the team praised his toughness, his resiliency, and his diligence. The guy who wanted out was locked in, and by the time the season started, the runway was finally clear. Smart was gone. Brogdon was gone. The minutes were his. What happened next was a breakout that had been 4 years in the making. Peyton played all 82 regular season games, career high 22 minutes a night, elite efficiency. He hit at least 1 3 in 26 consecutive games. He posted back-to-back 30-point double-doubles off the bench, joining Havlicek, Bird, and Cousy as the only Celtics reserves in franchise history to ever do that. Then, in the regular season finale against Washington, he went for 38 points, 12 assists, 11 rebounds. The Game 82 God nickname wasn't a joke anymore. It was a warning label. Then the playoffs arrived. 19 games, every single one of them played. And in the NBA Finals against Dallas, Peyton Pritchard delivered 2 moments that basketball will be replaying for the next 20 years. Game 2, Mavericks on a run. Momentum swinging toward Dallas. Peyton catches the ball, plants his feet, and fires from 34 feet at the third quarter buzzer.
It's the 2 guys who've got to drive it, like Kyrie's got to come along.
Oh, Pritchard banks in the
Drains it, run killed. Then Game 5. 2 seconds left in the first half. 1 dribble, 49 feet, nothing but net. The longest field goal in NBA Finals history since 1998. Boston up 21. Dallas's spirit gone. The undersized guard from West Lynn, the one projected for the second round, the one who begged for a trade a year earlier, was an NBA champion. And then he came back the next season and had the greatest bench scoring year in league history. 14.3 points a night, 40.7% from 3, all off the bench. He set the NBA single-season record for three-pointers, made as a reserve with 246. He finished with 255 total threes for the year.
I did my job off the bench at a high level, and hopefully I can continue to do that.
The guy who couldn't crack a rotation 2 seasons earlier was now the most prolific bench shooter in NBA history. Then came March 5th, 2025, Portland, his hometown, the city where Steve Blake used to beat him one-on-one every week. 43 points, 10 three-pointers. A career night in the arena he grew up watching.
former Oregon dunk, stepping back, going back-to-back. Got it again.
He and Derek White became the first Celtics teammates in franchise history to both score 40 in the same game. 2 nights later, he hit the 3 that broke the NBA single-season team record for made threes. At the end of the year, he won 6th Man of the Year in a landslide, 82 first-place votes. Not even close.
6th Man of the Year from the Boston Celtics, Peyton Pritchard.
The reach pick, the trade request guy, the Game 82 merchant. He was now the most dangerous bench player in basketball and an NBA champion. And just when you'd think the story had peaked, Boston's franchise cornerstone went down, and everything changed again. During the 2025 playoffs, Jason Tatum tore his right Achilles. Surgery followed. Boston's best player, gone indefinitely. That same offseason, Drew Holiday got traded out. Kristaps Porzingis got moved to Atlanta. The roster that had just won a championship looked completely different, and somebody had to fill the hole at the top of the rotation. Peyton filled it.
Well, that's the part of the leadership role that I'm ready to take, and just helping the team win and strive for greatness.
For the first time in his career, he wasn't the spark off the bench or the energy guy swinging quarters. He was a full-time starter, 32 minutes a night, carrying responsibility that nobody in the league projected for him when he was picked 26th 5 years earlier. And the production matched the moment. 17.4 points, 4.2 rebounds, 5.4 assists a game on 46% from the field. Real, consistent, starter-level production every night, whether the Celtics were playing contenders or bottom feeders.
I didn't know he would be this good going to that bench role, but it's been a fantastic boost for this team overall.
The 6'1" guard with the short wingspan, the one every mock draft buried, the one who bled through tape in a freezing garage before the sun came up. He was now the starting point guard for the Boston Celtics, and nobody was calling him a reach anymore. Here's where the numbers start to feel absurd. 803 career three-pointers, NBA champion, 6th Man of the Year, single-season record holder for bench threes, the longest field goal in finals history in 26 years, starting point guard for one of the most storied franchises in the sport. He's 28 years old. And think about what every one of those achievements actually means when you stack them against the scouting report. Too small, too slow, limited ceiling. Every evaluation missed the same thing. The thing that doesn't show up on a vertical test or a wingspan measurement. The thing Steve Blake saw when the kid kept coming back every week to get beaten one-on-one. The thing Danny Ainge saw when he watched the tape and didn't flinch at the size. The thing his dad saw on every drive home from a loss. They couldn't measure it because it wasn't physical. Peyton Pritchard plays basketball like a guy who has been told no his entire life, because he has. He's been the smallest guy on the court since middle school. He was passed over by the scouts, passed over by the mock drafts, passed over inside his own locker room when Boston decided they'd rather trade him than play him. And every single time, he did the same thing. He worked harder. He showed up earlier. He stayed later. He quit drinking. He hired pros to guard him in the summer. He turned every single slight into another reason to be undeniable. That's how the smallest guard in the NBA became its most clutch player. Not because he had something everyone else didn't, because he refused to accept what everyone else told him he didn't have. Peyton Pritchard was never the biggest, the fastest, or the most athletic player in any room he walked into. He was just the one who refused to leave it. The quote that captures everything he is, "Everybody likes to win. I separate myself because I hate to lose." And when you build a career on that mindset, the records and the rings and the buzzer beaters are just the byproduct. The real achievement is the garage at 5 in the morning, the bleeding fingers, the weighted basketball, the refusal to stop. If you want more stories like this, where the real story starts long before anyone was paying attention, subscribe to this channel.